Hi, my name is Heather. Welcome to my channel, Strings and Threads. Today I'm doing a video tutorial to show you my musical cat design. And there are different options for what you can make. I'm making a pillow with it because for Christmas, my niece wanted me to make her a watermelon pillow for her cat. And so I gave her the pillow at Christmas time, and she took it home and her cat loved it. I'm going to put a picture of that here. The whole story there is just to let you know that she was a little bit disappointed that her cat liked that pillow so much, because when she saw the pillow, she wanted it for herself. So I decided to make her a pillow for her birthday, which is coming up next month. And then she can keep this one herself. And so the reason why I made this particular design, it's designed for her, but I figured that there could be other people in the world who might like this design and want to make it for themselves or for someone that they love as well. But my niece, of course, loves cats, but she's also a phenomenal piano player. So then I incorporated the piano at the bottom and some music notes at the top there. So that's why I chose this particular design. But even though it was specific to my niece, I thought that this design was so cute and there might be other people who would like it. So let's get started with how to make this pillow.
Hi, my name is Heather. Welcome to Strings and Threads. This is a video tutorial for the musical cat crochet design. I have a PDF of this in my description so you can print out your own copy. I recommend watching how I do the design here on the tutorial because I don't give a ton of details on the pattern. So you'll get it in the pattern. The first page is this. And then the second page just says what kind of stitches to use the hook. And then it just gives you how many stitches for the pillow, but there's not a lot of detail. I apologize, I was trying to adjust my lights, but my overhead lights will leave a glare on this, so I will do my best with that. This design came up because my niece wanted me to make her a special pillow, and she loves cats and she loves music and she is exceptional on the piano. She's very, very good on the piano. So I came up with this design with the piano on the bottom. Her cat is gray and her favorite color is blue, which is why I had blue in the background, and then I had some musical notes. You are welcome when making this to change the colors to whatever you want. If you want the colors to be different, just go ahead and change them to the colors you want. I'll show you the yarn that I'm going to use. I'm just using medium weight yarn. So I have white in Crafter's Secret Big Idea. It's just a medium 4 weight. And then this is Red Heart Super Saver. I no longer have the tag for it, but this is also a 4 medium weight in black. And then my niece, I think she will love sparkly things, so I don't know if it'll show up on the camera, but this is really sparkly gray. Her cat is gray, so I'm going to have her cat be the sparkly gray. And then I picked a sparkly pink for the ears. And then I picked a sparkly light blue for the background. And then for the collar, which is only a little bit right here, I picked a sparkly dark blue. These are Big Twist. All of them are Big Twist except for the gray, which is Caron Simply Soft. So for the pattern, I wrote, just because it's so much easier to write this rather than what I'm going to show you, I wrote to chain 100 because for the pillow, you're going to have a front and a back. So you're going to do this twice. This will be on the front and on the back. If you only wanted it on one side, you could still chain 100, but when you get through with the pattern, then you can do a solid color for the next 50 stitches. What this is going to do is go in a round, and you're just going to have it flat and then stuff it. So this will be worked in the round. So if you feel like you want to do that, the bottom will be open then until the end, and then at the end you'll have to sew the bottom, stuff the pillow, and then sew the top shut. But I'm going to show you a way to do it where we'll start with a closed bottom. Again, I had no idea how I would explain this in a written pattern, so I'm just going to have to show you. I'm trying to pull my yarn out as we're speaking, but it is turning out to be yarn barf. So I'm going to pause it here, get my yarn situated, and then come back. Okay, I'm going to start with white. You can start with whatever color you want. If you want black to be on the bottom, you can do that. So I'm going to start with an I-cord. And you can either make your I-cord with a lucite fork, which I'm not going to do. I'm going to show you another way to do it with a crochet hook. And it gives it a much cleaner edge. Of course, you're welcome to start with the chains if that's easier for you, but if you give this a watch, you might like it. You are going to need to leave quite a bit of tail on this. So I'm probably going to leave, since we're chaining 50, maybe about a 4-foot tail. So this tail I'm going to have to the left. You can see it's pretty long. I didn't actually measure it, but I'm guesstimating about 4 feet. And then I'm going to put the yarn ball. This isn't really a yarn ball, it's a yarn skein, but I'm going to put the source for the yarn on the left. So what you'll do is you'll put a slip stitch right at about 4 feet, so that you have about 4 feet on the left, and then you have the attachment on the right. I should mention that this tutorial is fairly easy, but it's not beginner friendly where I'm showing you the stitches. If you already know single crochet, slip stitch, chain, you should be fine for this tutorial. But if you can't do those independently, you might want to practice them a little bit and then come back. So to make the I-cord without the lucite fork, you take the tail side and you bring it over to the right, and then you take the, I'm going to call it the yarn ball side just because I don't really know what to call it, but the one that's attached to the yarn. So from now on, I'm just going to call it the yarn ball side, and bring it over on top to the left. And then you're going to take that piece that you just moved to the left, and you're going to pull it through the 2 stitches that are there. So that's one. And we're only going to do this 50 times. We're not actually going to do this for the 100, because I'm going to show you, after we do the I-cord, I'm going to show you a way that we're going to work around the front loops to make the circle with 100 stitches. So again, you take the tail side, which is on the left, bring it over to the right, take the yarn ball and bring it on top to the left, and then take the last piece you did and pull it through. So there's 2. You can already see how it's starting to make, sorry, I have to pull that a little tighter, how it's starting to make an I-cord. You take the tail and bring it to the right. You take the yarn ball and on top, bring it to the left. And then you take this piece, this top piece, and pull it through both. I'll show you 2 more times. If you still need more practice, you can always go back and rewatch what I just did. But I think doing 50 of these on camera would be extremely long and painful. So I'm just going to show you 2 more, and then off camera, we'll do 50 stitches. So take the tail side and move it to the right. Take the yarn ball side on top, move it to the left, and then take the yarn ball side and pull it through the 2 loops on your hook. And there's one. One more time I'll show you. Tail side, to the right, yarn ball side to the left. Take the yarn ball side and pull it through the 2 loops on your hook. Okay, so here's what we have. I want you to make 50 of these, and then I'll come back and show you the next step. All right, I've got 50 on here. I'm going to keep the white just for this last round, and then we're going to start the pattern. So if you have extra tail, you can cut it. I'm going to crochet my tail in. I always like to do that. So let's chain 1, and we're going to single crochet in the front loop of each stitch around across. Okay, so we should end up with 50. So this is 1, and I forgot to crochet that tail in. The stitch is right here, so I'm only going to go into the front loop. Front loop would be just, sorry, I have the tail in the way here. You can see that there's a V, like right here. We're only going to go into this loop of the V, the front loop of the V. You can see how the other loop is still there. When we return the other direction, we're going to go into that front. That will be a front loop of the other side. So here's 2. I still forgot to crochet the tail in. Let me bring it over so I don't forget again. Front loop only of the stitch. I'm going to do a single crochet. Make sure you're counting as you go so that you have 50 stitches. This, I'm going to have to do it over because you need to weave the tail in right away or it's going to look weird, and it was starting to look weird. But get to the end of this and make sure you have 50 stitches. And once you're there, come back. I think watching me single crochet 50 stitches would be long and also boring. So let's do that off camera. You pause here, I'll pause here, and then we'll come back. So when you're at 50 stitches across, come back. Make sure it's 50. Okay, I made it to, sorry if you saw writing on my hand. I'm still such a teenager sometimes, even though I'm in my 50s. I write notes on my hand just like I did when I was a teenager. So I know that's ridiculous, but it is what it is. I have 50 stitches across. So now we're going to turn your work the other way, and you're going to continue doing front loop single crochet. So you can see where you crocheted before. You're going to go to the other side of the loop. So this will be still the same loop you ended on, but this will be the back side of it. You should make sure that you have another 50 stitches because the pattern is 50 across. And we're doing it twice. We're doing it once for the front, once for the back. And even if you're not doing the pattern on the back, you want it to be even. So you want to still make sure you have 50 stitches for the back. So there's, did I put it in all right? No, I didn't. Right here is where it's going to go in. It's the front loop or the back loop if we had it the other direction. It's the front loop here. So we're going to do a single crochet here, and then the next front loop is, where did I go in? I keep turning it upside down, sorry. Right here. I'm doing my stitches loose because I'm going to do the waistcoat stitch, and it's easier when the stitches are loose. But this is a pattern that also works if you're doing single crochet or half double crochet. I wouldn't recommend the larger stitches, but it probably still would work. It might distort the image a little bit though. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I'm doing the other side of the stitch, and this way the bottom is closed. You don't have an open bottom. And then when you finish your design, you can just stuff it, and then the only thing that will need to be closed will be the top. So continue across. Make sure you're counting that you have another 50 stitches, because we want 100 stitches exactly when we are doing this. So let's continue on, and when you get to the end of this row and you're sure that you have enough stitches, come back and we'll talk about what to do next. Okay, let's get right into the pattern here. I have 50 down and then 50 back, and I'm going to attach with a slip stitch to the first one that I did. So now we just need to count the dots and know where to change. And I'll show you how I change color and how it needs to be carried around with you, because cutting and redoing it, especially with so many stitches in a row, will just be ridiculous. I'm also going to do this in the waistcoat stitch, which looks very much like a knitted stitch. You don't have to use the waistcoat stitch. You can just start doing regular single crochets or regular half double crochets, and then change the color the same way, but with the single crochet or half double crochet instead of the waistcoat stitch. But if you're interested in making it look a little bit like a knitted stitch, then feel free to follow along with the waistcoat stitch that I'm going to do. So we'll have 50 stitches across. Each square will tell you what color. So there's 2 whites right here. I already have white, so I'm not even going to chain 1, because we're going to make this a continuous round from here out. So to do the waistcoat stitch, normally you would go into here to crochet. This is where you would go in. But you're going to look at the front of the single crochet, and there's a V that's right here. And we're going to go right in the middle of the V, because that will give us the look of the knitted stitch where it has a lot of V's in it. So you could see how it's like right in between the V and on the front of the stitch instead of on top of the stitch. So this is 1. I'm going to crochet loosely here, because that's much easier with the waistcoat stitch. Here's 2. I'm going to go right, you can see the V right here. I'm going to go right in between the V and go up here. Now instead of finishing up, we're going to change color to black for just the next stitch. So I'm going to get the black, and this was just drawing a loop up. Now I'm going to make a loop with the next color and draw it through to finish that stitch. And you can see that stitch is still white. It's just that now we have black for the next stitch. Also, you want to crochet this tail in for added security. So 1 stitch is going to be black. I'm still going to go and do the waistcoat stitch and go right in between the V's. These back stitches are still here. We're not going into the back stitch. I'm also going to you can bring the white along as well. That will work out. Do it loosely. Now, since the next 2 stitches are white again, I'm going to finish this stitch with the white. And you can see the stitch is still black. It's just that I brought the white through for the next 2 stitches. So go right into the V and do the waistcoat stitch. And then go into the next V with the waistcoat stitch. I'm looking through the camera instead of at my hands. Now, since the next stitch is going to be black, I'm going to switch my color to black to finish the stitch. And I'll show you the pattern one more time. Go into the V on the front of the stitch, draw a loop through, and now the next 2 stitches are going to be white again, so I'm going to bring up white and go through to finish the stitch in white. But you could see the stitch still stays the correct color even though you're finishing the stitch with the next color. And I believe that, oh, it's not the whole way because some of these keys are different due to the pattern. So we did 2, 1, 2, 1. Now this is 3 whites and then 1, and then 3 whites and then 1. So you just want to continue following what the pattern is. Once you've done the pattern once, I'll show you how we're going to do it on the other side, and I'll get you started there, and then we'll continue from there. So finish this first row and then come back when you get to here, and then I'll show you how we start the pattern over. All right, I have the first 50 stitches. So we're just going to continue to come around to the other side. And it's okay if it looks messy. This is all going to be on the inside. We're just going to be bringing threads along with us. But on the outside, it still looks great. So we're going to start back over at the beginning. We're always, unless you're left-handed would go from left to right. But if you're right-handed, and unfortunately I'm not going to be doing a left-handed version of this, but if you're right-handed, you're always going to start at the right and go across. So we'll do it twice. So you'll do row 1, and then for the back side of the pillow, you do row 1 again. The only exception would be is if you wanted a solid color on the back, or you wanted to do a different design on the back, then you would use whatever you wanted to do for the back for the second repeat, but this will be the first repeat. And then you go to row 2 and you follow this pattern for the row 2. And so you'll always start on this side. Even this would be row 1, this would be row 2, this will be row 3, you start here, row 4, you start here, and so on all the way up. So we're not ready for row 2 yet because we're repeating this pattern again on the back. So now again, it's 2 whites and then a black. I'll just remind you of the waistcoat stitch and where we want to switch color. So the next stitch is right here. So this will be 1, and then 2 is right here. And since we're changing color for the next stitch, we want to finish this stitch with the new color. Sorry, that popped out a little bit. And I'll pull the white a little bit tighter. Okay, so then the third stitch for this is the next color. Sorry. Right here. I'm trying to look through the camera again instead of at my hands. When I look at my hands, I tend to go off camera. And now, since the next color is white again, I'm going to finish the black stitch with white. And now I'm just going to do this pattern one more time, and then we'll do the rest of the round off camera. So 2 whites and then a black again. So the waistcoat stitch is in between the V's. And make sure you're doing loose stitches. You don't want these to be tight stitches. This one doesn't want to go. Sometimes you need to force it in there. Oh, and then we're switching colors, so you want to finish this with the black. And then the next stitch will be black. But we're going to finish the stitch with the next color since we only want 1 stitch of the black. Okay, so continue following that pattern again all the way across. And then I'll talk you through one more row, but then once you get the gist of this, you really don't need to see me do every single row, as long as you have the picture in front of you that you can follow. Again, the picture is in a PDF in my description, so you're welcome to print that out or just save it to your device and look at it on your device, either way. And then the second page has some written directions and some other suggestions for patterns. So go ahead and finish this round all the way to the end of 1, and I'll show you the beginning of row 2, and then we will finish the pillow off camera and come back and see how it looks at the end and how to stuff it and how to close the top. All right, I've come all the way around. So what I did, I know I'm probably over explaining it, but I want to make sure everybody understands. I did row 1 around, and then I just went right around to the other side, and I did row 1 again so that I have the pattern going on the front and the back of the pillow. So now I'm just going to show you the start of row 2 or round 2, whatever you want to call it, since we're doing it around. We would just follow the color guide for the second line here, starting from the right and going across, and then we'll turn and go on the back and we'll do the second row again, the same thing, and so on until you build it all the way up to the top. So I'm not going to show you every single row. This was just where I was going to leave it for you. I'll do the first 3 stitches so you can see what I'm doing. Excuse me, I have a little bit of a cold. So now I'm back to the first side. We could call it the front, but it's not going to matter which is the front and back because they're going to look the same ultimately. So the first 2 stitches are white, and I'm doing the waistcoat stitch. So I'm going to go in between the V's instead of going in the normal spot and keep my stitches loose. And here's the second stitch, and the third stitch will be black. So I come up, and since I'm switching stitches, I switch colors to finish that stitch before so that I'm ready for the next color for the next stitch. And you can see we're lining up because it looks like the 2 black stitches will be on top of each other. We're going to have more that will stack up too. So you'll know that you counted correctly by seeing if your pattern matches the pattern in the picture. And now the next 2 stitches are white for row 2, so I'm going to finish this stitch with white so that we're starting the next stitch in white. So just continue to follow this. You're going to do each row twice, once for the front, once for the back, and you're just going to keep working in a circle. You're not going to stop the circle. This stitch looks best when it's worked in a round. So let's come back then once we've created the whole pattern, and we'll talk about stuffing it and how to close it, and then you'll have an amazing little pillow.
Hi, I've got to the point now that I completed the pattern. I did not seal it up or stuff it yet, but as I was working it up, I wanted to show you another option for this design if you wanted to make something different other than a pillow. Where you stop is on the sides, and what you can do if you'd like is you can start sewing a handle, and you maybe want to do it maybe 8 stitches or so, and then just single crochet or double crochet back and forth until you have a handle. And this could be a bag. I thought, man, I can't get tall enough to do it, but this could be like a cute bag, over the shoulder bag. I would imagine it would be a little bit longer, but you can make it any size you wanted. Or you could do shorter handles and just have it be something you carry, or something that just comes right up under your armpit, like right here. But this could also make a really, really cute bag. And then if you wanted to somehow, adjust the stitches that you use, you can also make this either a corner to corner or regular blanket, but you probably wouldn't want to do the waistcoat stitch like I used. If you're going to do that, you might want to stick to another kind of stitch. But I am really happy with how this turned out, and I'm excited to be able to give this to my niece. She was the one that inspired this design. So let me turn it back around, and we'll turn this into a pillow, because for her, this is going to be a pillow, even though I still think it might make a cute bag. For her, I'm going to make it into a pillow, so we'll see how to finish that up. Okay, so we're back in this view. And to stuff it, it's actually going to take quite a lot of stuffing, so I'm not going to show you every bit of my stuffing. But if you have a specific stuffing preference, you can go ahead. I know some people make it up into really little tiny pieces, and then they arrange it in certain ways. I have never had the patience for that, but I'm not, it's certainly not a criticism of people who do it that way. That's a criticism of myself being too impatient. But I usually just tend to take handfuls and put them in, and then sometimes if I notice one spot's too fluffy, I might just go in and kind of spread it out a little bit. But whatever your stuffing preference is, go ahead and stuff it to your likeness, and then I'll come back and we'll talk about how to stitch the top together. Okay, here's the stuffing thickness that I'm happy with. I didn't super stuff it. I didn't make it super stuffed. I noticed that the fuller I made it, the less the piano pattern was showing, because it was getting really, especially in the middle, it was getting really fluffy, and then this was turning flat, and I really didn't want that. I wanted this to be more so you could see the whole design. So it's not super stuffed, but I think it's going to be great for a pillow. So now for closing it up, hopefully you did not do this, but I did not finish the top. I just had a stitch marker in it. So what we'll do is we'll take the stitch marker off. And it's gonna be pretty simple, because all we're gonna do from here is we're going to go into the normal place that you would single crochet. We're not going to do it with waistcoat stitch, where you would normally single crochet, and then find its counterpart on the other side. And we're going to draw up a loop and single crochet the top together. I'll show you with the next one. So I go into the next stitch that's available there, the next stitch that's available in the back part, draw up a loop, and single crochet. As you're starting to close it up, you might want to shift some of your stuffing, or if you find that it's not stuffed as much as you would like, then you can add more stuffing. But just keep an eye on the stuffing as you go, because it tends to migrate as you're changing the shape of this. So continue single crocheting the top together, finish it, and then weave in the ends. And I'll come back and show you my final piece, but we'll be done by then. So I'm all done, and I am so excited. I cannot wait to give this to my niece for her birthday to see what she thinks of it. So it's really pretty, and I hope that she gets to enjoy this more than her cat does. So thanks for watching. If you liked this tutorial, please consider subscribing. It helps my channel a lot, and liking the video. If you wouldn't mind sharing it, if you liked it that much, that would help even more. Thanks again for watching. Have a great day. Bye.